methods. One is get element by id and the other. Hello. Okay. So one is get element by id. So when you attached an id for a particular HTML element, then you can access that element by using the method called get element by id. And this method is defined under the document object. Okay. And document is a web API that is directly accessible, and it is not defined by us, but it is by default present inside browsers. Okay. Now the another method is we have seen is when you know the tag name, and if you want to select the tag name, I mean if you want to capture the tag name elements by using tag name, you can use a method called get elements by tag name. So this method is going to take a single parameter, and in that you have to specify the what the tag name. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So by using this method, you are going to capture the elements, HTML elements by using the tag name. And this method is going to return what? It is going to return an array. So this element that whatever the returned value is there by this method, I'm capturing that value into a variable called element. Okay. Now, if I wanted to see that, let me log this first. Okay. So we have seen this also. So element. And you see in Arvind.html document, as there are two elements which are having the tag names as bold. You see, two elements both are having the tag names of B. So we are going to get two elements of an array. Okay, let me save this. And in the console, you can clearly, very clearly, two elements you see. This is the first element, and this is the second element, this P. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you want to target a particular element, let us say I wanted to target the first element. How can I target? Simply, since it is an array, we can access it by using the indexing. And element of 0 will give the first element. Okay. And similarly, when I give console.log of element of what is the second element. Let me see that, and you see the first element is the first bold element in the document. And how it is being read? It is being read from top to bottom, and whoever comes first, which is bold, that will be given an index of 0, and whoever is coming next, that is given 1. And if there are, let us say, 3 more are there, then that will be given from index 2 to 5, 2, 3, 5, 4, not 5 but 4. Okay, so let me add another bold also here, another bold with a test of with an ID of test 1, 2, 3, something like this. And in this, let me add some text which is new bold. Okay, and let me save, and you see we got 3 things. Okay, now what I'll try to do is that now is this element is what is this? What is the type of this element? What is the type of the what is the data type of this element?
Data type array, sir.
Yes, it is an array. So in this array, how many elements will be captured now?
2, sir.
2. Are you sure, too? I saved this file as well. How many elements will I get captured now? 3, not 2.
3.
Because there are 3 bold elements out there, and I'm selecting the elements by using tag names. So those tags, those HTML elements which are having the tag names as bold, they will be selected. And in this particular document, as there are 3 bold elements out there, so we are going to capture those 3. Okay, and to see the third one, how can I see that in the console? So console.log
element of 2.
Element of 2. So I can access the third element. Okay, let me save, and you see the third element is having a ID of test 1, 2, 3. Now, for example, I am interested to manipulate the style of this third element. How can I manipulate? So after 5 seconds, I wanted to disappear this.
Set time.
Okay.
Out.
Set time out. So I'll write a function here, or instead of function directly I can write the function right like this. Okay, and the second value should be what?
The time. 5
which should be the time
5,000.
5 seconds means 5,000 milliseconds means 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, and this function will be executed after 5,000 milliseconds. And now what I'm interested is that I wanted to disappear this element. And do you know how can we remove an element or disappear that element in the document flow? By using CSS.
Display none, or
Yes, exactly. Display none is going to disappear that element. Visibility hidden is going to hide that element. Okay, so we are going to use something called display. Okay, So display property, we are going to set it to none. So to do that, which element I want to disappear? By the way, I want to disappear this third element. Okay. And in the array, in this particular element array, what is the first element? This one, because it is at the top. And then this one is the second element and this one is the third element. Now I wanted to disappear this text after 5000 milliseconds of loading this web page. So what I'll do is that I'll just target that element, which is element of 2. And then since it is an HTML element, we have a lot of properties assigned to it. Out of that, we have a property called style. And in that style, I am going to change the display value.
Is equal to none.
So display is a key. Yes, exactly. I want to set it to none. Okay. And let me save this. And you see, after 5 seconds, this will be removed from the document. You see, it got removed now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, after 10 seconds, or let's say after 3 seconds only, I want to remove this. And after again 3 seconds, I want to appear this. Okay. So for this, what I have to do, set timeout, another function which is going to show that element. Okay. After how many seconds? 6000 seconds. By the way, can you tell me this function will be registered? Let us say time t is equal to 0. And after how much time this function will be registered? I mean, this function will be registered in the memory immediately, right? Because after the execution of this instruction means, yeah. See, after execution of this instruction, what will happen? Immediately, this function will be registered somewhere with the timer starts with a time bound of 3000 milliseconds. Okay, and immediately after executing this instruction, immediately with a gap of 0.001 milliseconds, what will happen? This instruction gets executed, and this function will again get registered for 6000 milliseconds. That means these two functions are almost registered at the same time, but this is registered for a duration of 3000 milliseconds, but this is registered for a duration of 6000 milliseconds. So that means after 3 seconds, what will happen? The element gets disappeared, and then after 3 more seconds, what will happen? Again, this function is going to execute it. And in this function, I want to show that element. So to show that element, again, element of 2, again, style dot display, I want to set it to inline, because by default the display value is set to inline. For whom? For the bold elements. So let me save that, and you see after 3 elements are got printed, and then this function got executed, now removed, and after 3 seconds again it got appeared. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Everyone?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Now let us say we will take some events. Okay, let us get inside of some events. Okay, so there is one event which is the most used event called as click event. And when you want to have something upon clicking on something, for example, there is a button you imagine. Okay, and it shows a text called, and let me save this, and you see we got a button. If I click this button, is anything is happening here? Nothing is happening. Right? Let me remove all this. Let me remove all this. Yeah. Let me remove. Okay, let it be. Nothing is happening because we did not assign any functionality for this, right? So to add functionality, upon clicking on this, you have to set an attribute, which is of course an HTML attribute, because I'm going to write that in inside opening tag of the button. So something like this, on click. Okay, on is for every event you are going to have on in front of it. On click is the event name. Okay, so on click you would like to execute a function in JavaScript. Okay, so let me name that function as something like func. Okay, I would like to execute this function. Okay, did you understand what I'm doing? I'm just making an on click as an attribute, which is an HTML attribute, because I'm writing this inside opening tag of the HTML, and then upon clicking on that, I would like to execute this function. And is there a function named as func in our JavaScript file as of now? No, there is no function which is named as func. So what I have to do, I have to write the function and it will do some functionality. Okay, so I'm not going to make any complex. So just it is whenever this function gets executed, I would like to log a statement called log hello, you clicked the button, something like this. Okay, now let me save this, and let me also save this. And you see nothing is printed as of now, because when you want to execute this function, what you have to do, you have to perform this event. Yes, we have to click on this. Whenever you click on this, then only the function gets executed. Okay, now let me try to click on this, and you see we got the function got executed now. Okay, is this clear?
Yes,
You
sir.
see from line number 35 we are getting something called you clicked on the button. Okay, similarly there is another event called double click. Okay, so on double click, you see for every event you will get this thing on double click. On is the mandatory one. Okay, without this on it is not going to work. Okay, on double click. If you try to see, if you are been using Instagram, when you want to hit, get a like, what you will do, you will double click on the post, right? So similar thing, double click is also an event. So when you make a double click for a particular element, what will happen, some other function needs to be happen, and that function I'm naming it as test. Okay, now let me save this function test console log. What is this? Double click. And now you tell me what will happen. So if I'm double clicking this, what should happen? I did not see.
Test function will
Save of them now. What happened? Only test will be executed, or func will also be executed. So that's the question I'm asking. Yes, func for a single time double click, what will happen? You tell me. I'm making a single double click. What will happen?
Sir, both.
Both will be executed, and each for once.
Yeah.
This func will be executed once, and this test will be executed once. Right?
Yes, sir.
See, just clearly understand, when you are making a double click, that means 2 times you are clicking, and those 2 times together is a double click. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That means this function should be executed for twice, because we are making 2 clicks, and those 2 clicks together making a double click. So this function, yes or no? You see, I'm making a single click, that means we got this. Okay, and again I'm making a single click, so again we got this. Let me erase this, and I'll try to execute for twice. Like I would like to double click on this. Now I double clicked on this, and you see this function, actually this func is been called for how many times? You see 2 times. And this double click is actually called for how many times? Only once. Because when you are making 2 clicks without a very small time gap, that is called as a double click. Okay, I don't know that time gap, but it should be very small, very small amount of time gap. Okay, when you want to make a double click, you have to click immediately. So that makes a double click. So when you are making a double click, means indirectly you are making 2 clicks. That means 2 times this function needs to be executed, and then those 2 times together, since the time gap is very small, those two times together makes a double click event. Okay, clear? So this is how we can attach events within HTML, and we can execute whatever we want by keeping the functions inside that. Okay, and remember, you should not give the function name like this. Make sure you give the braces also, because this is what the execution is, right? This is what execution is. Whenever you want to execute a function, you have to pass this. Okay,
Yes, sir.
is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what I will do is, now this is one event. Okay, now what we will do is that we will try to see more, like accessing more number of elements. Like you see, let's say I wanted to access elements by using their class names. So we have seen by using tag names, we have seen by using element ID, okay, and by using tag name. But now we will see what is accessing of elements by using class names. So let me erase all this. Keep this inside chat box. Okay, now what I'll do is that I'll remove this one also. Now I'll create a button. Okay, and in this, upon clicking on this button, I will execute a function called func. Okay, now what I'll do is that I have created a div with a class name of Arvind, let us say. Okay, and div with a class name of Arvind. So I put some text inside this div. Okay. Now also I've given a button like this. Okay. And upon clicking on this button, I have to execute a function func, and in that function I'm going to print this element. Okay, let me save this, and you see, let us see what is this. Okay, actually this button we are getting as empty because there is no text is there. Click me. Okay, now if I click on this, click me, can you guess what will happen? If I click on this button, what will happen? Can you guess? And look at this JS file.
No,
And both are saved. We will get, see, same thing. Just remember, when I'm trying to execute a function called func, and if there is no func, what will happen?
Function is
As func is not at all defined, and let me try to save, and you see uncaught error, func is not defined.
yes.
Okay, so similarly, this actually, instead of calling this function on line number 1, we are calling from HTML when upon an event. So whenever we make this event, this function is going to be called, and if there is no function exist in that, what should we get? Same thing, func is not defined. We cannot, you see, func is not defined, then how can we execute that? Okay, is this clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is this clear or not?
Yes, sir.
See,
Yes.
there is no function named as func in this. And when I'm trying to click on this, what will happen? A function func needs to be executed. If that function is not at all present in our JavaScript file, then we should get an error called func is not defined. So that's what we are getting, you see.
Yes.
Okay. And to have that function, we have to create that function like this.
It means, sir,
And then what should we?
sir, we can call function from HTML file from.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
But
yes, that's what I'm doing.
Can we call, sir, function from one JS file to another?
Of course, yes. Why not? We can also call. See, this is like, see, if I remove this, so this is like we are keeping all this code. We are keeping all this code here. Okay. Even if you had million number of script tags and you attach million files also, all these things comes under a single script tag like this. Okay. And for this particular HTML document, how many files you had, irrespective of the number of files that you had, all are going to be the JavaScript code, it together JavaScript that is attached to this particular document. Okay.
Okay.
Get back. Yeah. Now I created a function func, and it is going to log click button. Click the button. You clicked a button. So that's why it is been logging now. And let me save this. And you see, if I click on this, what happened? You clicked a button, and it is we are getting from test.js file at line number 2. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand or not?
Understood.
Now, what I am interested to do is that I would like to log the element, this element. I want to get the nature of this entire element. So to get the nature of this entire element, what should I do? I have to create a variable called element. Anything you can give, variable naming convention.
Document.
And in that, you are going to access it by
document.
by ID, get elements by class name we have seen.
Line.
Yeah, get elements by tag name we have seen. Get element by ID we have seen. Now we are going to use get elements by class name, and the class name I'm going to give as test.
Test.
Or Arvind, sorry, because I gave Arvind right over there. Arvind. So that means all the elements which are having a class name of Arvind will be selected. Okay. For example, if I have another bold with a class name of Navin, let us say, and let me print that this is bold. This is Navin class, or at least Navin class. Okay, let me save this. There are two elements. Sorry, I would like to make it as Arvind again. So there are two elements which are having the class name of Arvind. Okay, so both this div as well as this bold, both are having which class name? Arvind class name, right? Now, document.get elements, you see, that means it is a plural. That means it is going to return something, not a single value, but it is going to return a multiple value. So how will it return? It will return in the form of array.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll try to log the element array, and this is an array. Let me save this. And whenever you click on this, it will print first, and then we are going to capture the elements which are having the other class name into a variable called element. And I just logged all those elements. Let me click on this, and you see we got two elements. You see the size of it is 2. The first one is div with the class name of Arvind, and the second one is b with the class name of Arvind. Okay, b may be for bold. Okay, now I'm interested to print only the first value. So again, what should I do? I have to log it by using the indexing. So element of 0 will print the first value, which is div with the class name of Arvind. Let me save that. Let me click on this, and you see you click the button, and then the first element got printed. Okay. Now I am interested to change its color. How can I change? Element of 0 is the element. Yeah.
Dot style color.
Element dot 0 dot style dot
Color
color
is equal to blue or something else.
Something. Let me make it to true. And I told you this is a string, so you can give in double quotes or even you can give in single quotes. Let me save that, and let me click on this, and you see that text is been colored now into a blue color. Okay. Now, for example, immediately I want to make the second element. So second element means element of 1 into a background color of yellow, let us say. So background color of yellow. I'll tell you a naming convention here. Oh, don't worry. So in CSS, if you remember, in CSS, how we were writing the background color property?
Background hyphen color.
Yes, background hyphen color, and something like this. And any other values which includes hyphen, font size.
Font size.
Something like this.
Font weight, font weight.
Yes, font weight. There are so many properties which includes hyphen. Okay. Right, something like this. So there are so many properties which includes this hyphen, right? So whenever in CSS there are some properties like that hyphen, you should not use that like here. Okay, you should not use like this, because keys should not contain a character called hyphen in JavaScript. What keys I'm talking about? In objects. So let me create an object here. So it is an object, and let me say key hyphen Arvind. Okay, and if I give some value, so this key, this is the key, right? This is the key, and this one is the value, and in between that we are keeping a colon. So keys in JavaScript objects should not contain hyphens. You see, we are getting an error. So that's why they made a solution like this. So instead of giving this hyphen, you have to make the second word letter, which is this one, C, into capital. Actually, this way of writing names is called camel case. Remember, camel case naming. Okay, so we have to, if you want to access some properties which are having an hyphen in CSS, then you have to. For font size, how should we write? Font should be normal, and then after hyphen, whichever the first character we get, that we turn into the capital, and then remaining is normal size, something like this. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear or not?
Clear, sir.
So now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to select two elements out of this. Actually, there are two elements which are having a class name of Arvind. So here I'm selecting those two elements by using the function called get elements by class name, and that is going to return
style dot background color, sir.
Yes, exactly. So this is not just background color, but it is style dot background color, because we are going to manipulate the CSS. Okay, so style dot background color is the one which is the property inside style attribute. Okay, now I am going to make a background color for this bold as yellow, and for this one I'm going to change the color to be blue. Let me save, and you see whenever I click on this, what happened? The color of it is turned into blue, and the background color of it is turned into yellow. Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
This is clear. Yes, border radius is also another property which includes hyphen. Border radius, something like 30% or something like this. And how can we write in JavaScript? Border capital radius. Something like this. Okay. Yeah. Now what I'm interested to do is that anything you wanted to do, I'll do that. Yeah, so we have seen these three methods are enough. Okay, I'll write here. The first element, first method is get element by ID. So this is the first element, and it is going to return what? A single object which targets the single HTML element, because elements can have only a unique ID. So whatever ID you pass, it is going to select a single object, and that will be returned. And now what is the other method we have seen? Get elements
Element by tagName.
tagName. Okay, and then what are the other things we have seen? Get
Yeah. Elements
by class name.
class name.
Class.
Sir, what if
All
I
this-
want to?
Yeah,
Hello?
and all these three things are functions, and all these three things are, you know, accessing a single parameter, and then all these three things are not returning. All these three, of course, returning an object, but this one is returning a single object. This one is returning an array of objects. This one is returning an array of objects. Yeah, now you are your question. Suman.
Sir, what if we want to get a tag name which is assigned with some specified class like that?
Yeah, so you see here element 0 is an element, and you want to get the tag name of that. So element 0 is what? It is a single HTML element, right? Element is array of HTML elements, and element 0 is a single HTML element, because this function is going to return an array of HTML elements. Yes or no?
Yes,
And
sir.
element 0 means which element out of in this document? This first one.
Div.
Now this tag name is what? Div. But
Div.
if I wanted to know the tag name in JavaScript, then I can console the tag name by using console.log and the element followed by dot the tag name.
Type of.
No, tag name, that's it. And it is going to print which type of tag name it is having. Okay, let me save this. And you see, whenever I click on this, what happened? You see, it is printing div in capital. Okay, so whenever you are having an element, and if you want to know what is the tag name, then you can know by using the tag name. Got it?
Good.
So all the thing is, whenever you want to know nature of a particular element, HTML element, you have to access that element. So to access that particular element, we have all these three methods. Okay, when you access a particular element into a variable in JavaScript, then you can play with it. You can change the CSS. You can even change the, for example, let me tell you, for this element 1, I wanted to assign some width and height. So how can I assign? Element of 0 dot style dot width. I want it to be something like 200 pixels. Okay, and then the same line I'll repeat. Okay, and here I'll set the height to be something like this. And what I'll do, I'll set up some background color. Element of 0 dot background color is what? Background color is something like blue. Okay, and I want to change the color also. Element of 0 dot style dot color to which? White. Okay, and then I want to set up its position. I want this one to be a fixed position. Element of 0, and position is the one which is inside style. So style dot position is equal to fixed. Okay, and then I want to set it at the bottommost. How can I set? I want to set the bottom property to 0. So style dot bottom to what? 0 pixels, or even 0 is fine, because for 0 you don't need to include the unit. So let me save this, and you see when I click on this, what happened? Where is the element? Bottom position fixed. Let me change it to who's the element. One second, I'll try to inspect this.